Hello everybody and welcome to Tech Tuesday for the iWorks. We're going to talk about the iWorks apps today, and that would be Keynote, Pages, and of course Numbers. These are the three main apps that are actually used for presentation, papers, and of course spreadsheets and other forms of charts. We will not go over iMovie or iPhoto this time. That will be done in a later tutorial. There will be their own tutorials coming up here in the next couple of weeks. So we are going to only go over the iWorks such as Keynote, Pages, and as I said before, Numbers. So first one we're actually going to go over, of course, is Keynote. This is the PowerPoint presentation for iPad. To get this going, simply just click on it. As you can see here, I have a presentation I've been working on right now for an upcoming app that I'm working on, but we will go over that also at a later time. Once your main screen shows up, you'll get a screen like this. Any previous presentations in the cloud or that will appear here or right here. If you would like to import one, you simply go up to the plus button up here. You click on that. And what you can do is you can create a presentation from scratch, copy it from your iTunes if you have your iPad or iOS device plugged into your computer, or copy from WebDAV. If you're well-versed in WebDAV, this is a very easy way to do it. I'm not going over that in tutorial. I am simply creating a brand new presentation, which you also can do right down here by clicking this plus button. So I will click on Create a Presentation. And here is my main screen. Now, there's actually two standards now. There's standard theme here, or there is, of course, wide now. So here are all your standards here, and these usually mean they can be done both in portrait and landscape. If you just want to do a straight landscape portrait, you hit the wide button here, and it will switch over to those themes that actually have it. So these ones right here are everything that is done in wild concept. This works good if you have a larger screen, such as a TV or wide projector or smart board. For today, I'm actually going to pick a theme. I'm actually going to pick the graph paper one here, which has a little butterfly, and I really like. So to add more slides here, you simply go to the plus button here on the bottom. You click on this, and it will bring up all your different templates. Now for today, I'm going to click on a picture. I'm going to pick on a bullet point with a picture. And then, of course, I'm going to come up with a simple regular message one, and then I'm going to do a completely blank slide. So first things first, if you want to move these around in a different order, you hold your finger down on them and you can move them up or down depending on what you want to do. If you want to delete them, you tap them or double tap, and you will get the cut, copy, delete, skip, or transition. So I'm just going to delete this one here. I don't want that one. And it's gone. Of course, now I have two blank slides, so let me take my finger again and I will move that down. And I'm going to add a new one. There we go, simple as that. And I'm going to, of course, move this one up. There we go. So that's the simplest there. If you also notice there's a little file here. If you can tell, you can actually embed your files on top of each other so they make a little pocket if you want to hide them. If you want to unhide them, you just simply take them away like that. That's really good if there's certain slides for different class levels where some are more advanced and you have other slides for them. You can then pocket them like that. You can play around with that if you like to. I'm not going to go over that in great detail with this one. Right now I'm just going to move these around. There we go. So let's get started with the first slide. So I'm going to do right here. It's pretty simple. It says double tap to edit, so I'll double tap it. And once I do that, my keyboard will come up, so I will call this the presentation. It will autocorrect if you have the ability. You also can hold your finger down and move the magnifying glass over if you'd like to fix your capitalizations or anything. And if you tap on it once, you will get the little arrows here on the side. This allows you to increase or move your presentation of your words around. This also works for pictures. And if you notice, there are little arrows right here on a ruler, which actually shows you right here, if you notice the yellow, when you actually have proper centration. So once I do that, that is perfectly centerized. And if I want to do in this one, I can also double tap and say, my presentation, by Ryan C. Reed. I don't use my middle name very often, so there you go. So there's my first one. So I'm going to go to the next slide. And of course, we have very similar to, you can double tap to edit to fix your words, or you can tap it once to delete it. Right here, delete. never existed. So here's my picture here. Now, as I showed earlier, if I take my finger, I actually can move this up or down. I can move it left and right, and the arrows will show it centerized. If I take 2 fingers, I can actually rotate it any way I want, or I can just simply move it, or increase the size. Now, something that's interesting about pictures here, if you tap on it once, it doesn't do anything. If you tap on it twice, it gives what's called masking. Masking actually allows you to recrop a photo. So by taking my finger here, I can make the picture bigger or smaller and recrop it now using my arrows instead of resizing it. Once I'm done there, I hit done, and as you can see, the picture is good. Now, let's say I want to replace this picture. Well, there's a plus button here. So I hit the plus button, and it'll immediately go right to my camera roll. So if I go to my camera roll here, I'll pick one of my app dice here. This is my 25-sided dodecahedron. I will double tap it to fix the masking on it, and I will hit done. And then I will call this my 24-sided dice. And by the way, I will be going over app dice in a later tutorial. They're a lot of fun, so just take a little peek. This is a little sneak peek of it. So that's looking really nice. Of course, I don't really like this blue right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on this, and then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to the paintbrush up here. I'm going to hit the paintbrush, and it's going to give me my different text styles. Well, first of all, I have the ability to move a picture of that to the front or back by simply moving this down. I can centerize it. I can move it up or down, depending on things. I can make this 1 or 2 columns by hitting it. As you can see there, it's separating it. If I want to make it a little bit more of a point margin, I hit this button, and that will increase my point margin. And if I want to lock that in place, as in I am very happy with where this is, I just hit the lock button. And that keeps it right where it is. Now if I go back to it and hit the plus button, it says it's locked. So what I have to do is unlock it. That allows me to edit again. So now I will go back to the paintbrush, and I have options again. Now I can change the text here if I don't like this text. I go right here to text, and here we go. As you can see, just like if you were working on a Word document, you can centerize it, move it left, move it right, uncenterize it, bold it, italicize it, underline it. You can slash it. It's a real fun little feature there. If you want to change the paragraph style right here, this is known as title. If I make it a title small, it will shrink it. If I want to make it body or that, I do it. If I want to do this as a caption green, it will do it that way too. Of course, I think I was fine using that, so I will go back to title. I'm just going to go right up to the top here, which is my format. I'm going to click on the 56 marker felt. I'm going to hit this to change my color. I think I want green. Ooh, I like that much better. And I'm going to use the arrow keys to make this either bigger or smaller. I want to shrink this down a little bit, so I'm just going to push this down to 125 point. And now the font type, which is this, is right here, which says marker felt. Well, I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to get my icons. If I want to, there's information for each of these ones. If I hit the marker felt eye, it will basically show what it looks like thin or wide, and as you can see, it changes it. But if I want to change it to something a little bit more, you know, what I would like that makes it better, like here, the Gamaki Embed, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to hit the eye, and I'm just going to make it bold. And there we go. And that looks better. I'm just going to tap off the screen. And there we go. Slide 2 looks really nice. You can mess around with this. There are a lot of different styles and checks. If I click on this one more time and hit the paintbrush, I'll come up to styles. I hit style. It will tell you right here how you want to do the text way here. As you can see, right now it's on this, but if I hit this, I can make it like that, or I can make it blue, or I can just say I don't want anything. And I can even go to my style options here. Basically, it's just changing the way my texts are. Right here, there's no fill or anything else. You can change the borders if I want to, the effects. This is stuff that I recommend you playing around with here. You'll be able to find out the different features. Otherwise, this would take a long, long time. And as you can see, I want to change this back, so I'm going to go back to text. I'm going to make this a title again. I'm going to make sure my arrangement's correct. Yep. I am going to go to my marker felt, which it defaulted to. I want my color back to the green. I'm going to change my marker cell and put that back over here to Gamaki Embed, and I'm going to make that bold again, and I'm going to tap off, and now I'm very satisfied with that slide, so we're all good. So now I'm going to move on to number 3. Number 3, same story as all. Double tap. As you can see, I'm going very basic here. I want to replace the image. I'm going to do my little spinner wheel I do for grade school. I'll double tap on that. I'm going to fix this a little bit so you can see all of it. And I'm going to close that up. Done. And then I'm going to resize it so it does not do that. I'm going to move it around. And if you can see, if you want to, you can actually magnify this by taking your 2 fingers and pinching it up and down. It helps if you want to magnify or look anything from full screen or that. And I'm just going to move that over. I'm going to make that just a little bigger. And now this is my bullet slide. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to double tap this, and I'm going to say spinner, not center, spinner. And then I'm just going to hit return. I'm going to say this was created in Pic Collage, which is another app I'm going to be going over at a later date. And I'm just going to say it's fun. Now if I want to, I can move those bullet points around, make them a little bit more stylized and line them up. If I want to make them a little bigger, here's the trick. Make sure you do select all. Because if you do not do select all and you need to make these bigger or smaller, they are going to be a problem. When you want to resize this, because if I hit the paintbrush now, I have nothing selected. So if I select this corner though and go there, now I can make these bigger and change the color. Ooh, I like that orange. One more thing. Let's get it off. Marker felt is the default for most presentations. Depending on your presentation, the templates I shown earlier, some might be Manlo, some might be, Kapari or so forth. So every presentation template is going to have its own default text. So if you want to change that, just go ahead and hit that and fix it. I'll make these noteworthy. That's better. So slide 3 is done. So now I'm going to go to slide 4. Now this one, as you can see, I have nothing here. And the truth is I want to completely make this my own slide. So what I'm going to do is first tap on this the first time, not double tap. I'm going to hit delete. I'm going to do this too. And I'm going to hit delete. So now I want to insert my own media, my own text boxes, whatever. To do that, I go to the plus button, not the paintbrush, the plus button. I hit that. And it will give me a couple options. It's going to give me shapes objects. As you can see here, I got everything from, making angles to squares. Or I can add in charts if I want to by clicking on this. You can do 2D or 3D. It will show you the different chances right here. These are the 2D ones. If I hit 3D, it'll make 3-dimensional here. And as you can see right here, I have arrows on the bottom. If I take my finger, I can slide and see all the different colors and ways to do that. So let's say I want to add a basic chart here, pie graph I should say. So I'm just going to click on this blue one. It'll take a second to load. And once it's there, it'll go right there. Now as you can see, I can rotate it if I want to. If I double tap on it, it'll say edit data. What you do is you go right here and hit edit data. This allows you to fill in your information. So right now I pull up the chart here. So right here I have my projection. So let's say 91 was correct, 76, but 28 is wrong. We didn't have that much of a data chart here. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to delete this. And I'm going to say actually our sales were 80%. And then in July they dropped majorly in the thing. And then they went back up to 75 in August. And if I scroll over to September, they then went back up to a healthy 95. Once that's done, I hit done, and the chart will adjust itself. And you can resize this if you want. And like I said, you can turn it, which is actually a little fun little trick I like to do. Put that right there. And if I want to, I can animate that. I can double tap on it again. And what I'll do is just give me the simple build out for transitions if I want to. I'm not going to transitions yet. I will do that later. So I'm going to get out of that, hit done. Oh, also, by the way, if you ever have any questions, hit the question mark right here, and these little tabs will show up. Will give you information, so they'll give you anything. If you can't think of what to do or anything, they're very, very helpful. So go ahead and hit the question mark if you ever get stuck on anything here. And if you want it to disappear, just hit the question mark again. So I got a chart here for a pie graph. I'm going to hit the plus button again. I want to add some text, so I'm going to go back over to the square button here. And as you can see, I'm just going to hit the text box. When I do this, a little text box comes here. I can now resize this, reposition this, double tap on it, and say my chart. I'm not going to do anything special. I'm just going to put that over there so they're all nice and cool. And then I'm going to go back to the plus button here, and I'm going to add a picture. So I'm going to go to my media here. Now, media, you can add movies to your presentation, but I will warn you, the movie needs to be on your device. If it is not on the iPad, you cannot play a movie. You'll just get a big giant question mark. So if you're going to add a movie to anything, just make sure, in this case I'll do my telegami, it's on your device. So I will hit this, and I'll put my little avatar telegami on here. It will say, how's this? It'll give you a preview if you want to check it. This app is known as Stick-Around. Stick-Around allows you to create any type of... I like that, so I'm just going to say use. It'll compress the video. And then it'll allow you to place it and put where you want it. And then if you want to add, of course, a final up over here, you can add a spreadsheet chart here similar to the pie graph. Or you can just add a little object. In this case, I'm going to put a pentagon. And then what I can do with this, I can reshape it, as well as re-angle it. By taking the green button here, I actually can rotate it and make it actually a bigger object. So I can actually make this a dodecagon and go there. And then if I want to add a new text box. Put that right there. Double click. And as you can see, my words are a little outside this, so I'm going to tap it again, and I'm just going to make it a little bigger. And then recenterize it. And there we go. And this slide is officially done. So there we go. So that's how you import pictures, images, video, and so forth. The music does the same way. You just go right over here to the wrench. If you want to add any sounds or music, you hit the wrench. And you go over to Presentation Tools. And right there, you just put in soundtrack, so I can put in a soundtrack right there. It'll go through any music if you have it, and you just say choose audio, and it will just look through your music library if you have any music here. I will tell you though, it cannot attach the music or the videos if you're emailing these out. It does not work that way, so I'm just telling you the limits of a mobile one. If you want to add an interactive link so you can click on it to go to a website, you just hit interactive link. And then they say touch what you want to do. So let's say I want to make this pentagon a web page. I just click on the bottom here, and then I can put in, like, say, let's do Google. So I'll just do google.com. And I'll be finished. And then I just say tap it off it. So now when I'm doing a slideshow, if I click on this, it will go to google.com. And you also can put an email on there if you want to as well. So have a little fun with this. It's really fun. So now next, presentations to transitions. The most fun we all have with PowerPoints. So first of all, I'm going to go tap on the first slide. Now, there's two ways you can do transitions, build in and build out. You can do them by slide or by word or picture on the slide. So if you do is you do the same thing. So first of all, I'm going to hit done because it's still saying I'm on the X. So what I do is I go back to the wrench. I say transitions and build. So I click on this, and immediately I get a little arrow that says there's none on here, but I want to add them. So I can hit plus, and right here it shows all my effects. You have effects and options. I'll go over options in a moment. So here's the effects. You have a whole list here. If you want to, you can just click on them and then hit play, and it will give you a little preview of what that will look like between transitions. See, there wasn't much right there. Let me try droplet. I kind of like that one, so we're going to keep that. But there's a way I can actually change the timing and well as style with options. So if I click on options, Right here, I have my duration. So that was a 1.5 seconds. So let's say I want to make that a little longer. I'm going to increase it to 2. And you actually do it with on a tap or after previous. And you can actually add a delay, which means after you tap it or after transition, there'll be a certain amount of time with it. So you can do that. But once you're all good, you just tap off of it and you move to the next one. And I'm going to go back to effects. And we're just going to make that, I'm going to make this a flip. Play that. Hey, that looked pretty fun. And actually, we'll go back to the other one. I'm going to add a spin to this since this is a spinner. And as you can see, there are lots of ways you can do this. So pivot, play. Pretty nifty. And then I'll do one more on here. Ooh, clotheslines is fun. And that brings me up to the last slide. And here we go. So once that's all finished, we do the same thing with the images. So let's go to my pie chart here. I can click on this, and it will say build in, build out. So build in is how it's going to appear, and then build out is how you want it to disappear. So if you want to exchange, you can do that. So I'm just going to do a build in on this one, really simple. And as you can see, I have a couple ways to do it. You can do 3D grow, and you can do a little preview of that. There it is. And then if I want to, I can go over to options again. And you actually can do the same thing with or have. Or you can do delivery, which is really fun. So I hit delivery. And as you can see, all at once, cascade or by wedge. I think I will do this by wedge. I'll do a little play. Pretty nifty, huh? I know. Now, as you can see here, this says 2 of 7. I actually can, and then my picture here, my video of Telegami shows up later. You can actually reorder this by hitting order, and it's really simple. All you do is you go right here, how they work here. What you can do is you actually can reorder these. So let's say I actually want my movie to come in last. So what I do is I take my finger and I put it all the way to the bottom. And let's say I want to reorganize my June and July to come in 2 different orders. Did you notice that? I can't switch these. I was only able to switch these. You see, in a chart like this, they have to go in the order they're set up on their screen. So if you use a chart or anything, you can't reorder them. Now, if they're just different transitions, like, you know, a chart, a picture, and a video, and they all come in different, you can reorder those. But if they are part of the same build, you can't reorder these. So just a little warning there. Once that's done, I tap out. I check my last item. I'm going to build in this and go back to my effects, and I'm going to have this come in as a blast. And then what I'm going to do is tap it again, and I'm going to build out of it, and I'm going to make it blur. So when we do it, I hit play. So when it appears, it goes out like that. So let's play this whole slide as a preview. I'm going to go right up here. So here's my presentation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on it. And as you can see, the transitions are going as I tap on the screen, because I did it as tap and not as transition.
This app is known as Stick-Around. Stick-Around allows you to create any type of puzzles for learning for any type of subject. It can be shared on any iPad through Google Drive to email. Check it out today.
And there's the transition. If I want to end this, I just hit the X button, and it goes away. Very simple. And if I want to do this right from the beginning, I will hit here. I will hit the play button right over here. And now my presentation goes as I tap the screen. So the final thing to do, if you want to share this by email or anything, go right up here to the share arrow. So I hit this. And now you can share via iCloud, which means it'll send a direct link to somebody here, which is a version of your presentation, but it can't be edited. You can open another app, which means that this presentation will probably open up in another app. So if I hit open in another app, it will, of course, bring up the presentation. Now, here's the three formats. This works on email as well. Usually the best way to send this is through PowerPoint, because PowerPoint can be viewed on almost any device, desktop to iPad. Now, just warn you, some transitions don't transfer correctly with that. And just like I said with the video, this will not be embedded when you send it. If you send it as a PDF, that means it's basically just a picture file, so it only can be scrolled, nothing there, or as I say, with Keynote. But let's say I just want to do this as a PowerPoint. I'm going to hit that. It's going to compress it really quick. And it says choose app. I hit choose app, and these are the apps I can open in. As you can see, if I want to transfer this between devices. So let's say I want to do a screencast with that. I can go to Explain Everything or Magical iPad. I want to upload this to for my students to look on their own time. I can put this in Edmodo, or I want to share this with people. I can do an InstaShare or Google Drive, or I want to work on a few other things. I can put in Notability or Evernote, or I can just upload it right to Dropbox. If I hit cancel, it all goes away. If I want to email it, I do the exact same thing. I say send a copy. I can say either do it by InstaMessage, email, iTunes, or WebDAV. I'm going to do email. Once again, it says, what do I do? Well, I'm going to send this to Mr. Petra, and he has an iPad, and he views it on his, so I'm going to send it as a Keynote. And the file's ready to go. I just need to title it here besides presentation 2, put Mr. Petra's name here, and then hit send. And once this is all finished and I'm ready to save, just go ahead and hit the presentation button, and this will save everything for you. And I will warn you, some students will lose information as well as teachers. If they just click out of Keynote and don't save their work, it gets lost. But here it's all ready to go, and we are finished with Keynote. So now, going into the next one, we're going to talk about Pages. Pages is a Word writing document for iPad. It works very similar to Microsoft Office or other Word programs. So I'm just going to click on Pages. And as you can see, here is my files with everything. If I want to create a new document similar to Keynote, I either hit this or hit this. I'm just going to say Create a Document. And there we go. And here's all my different landscapes. So if you want to just go completely blank, you can do this. If you want to do reports, you can do this. Letters, envelopes, business cards, and so forth and so forth. When you find one you really like, let's say you're going to do a photo card here for an invitation, I click on this. And there it is. And of course, just like in Keynote, I can just tap on anything. And of course, I can double tap. And of course, I can edit it. I'll just replace the image. Similar here, I hit the plus button. I find an image. Let's say this is going to be an aftermath of my wife and I's wedding here. It's like kind of an after party, so I'm going to do here. I'm, of course, going to adjust the picture a little bit. And I'm going to rotate it a little bit, move it over. And there we go. And then I'm going to tap off of it. And if I want to add anything, like a text box, I can hit the plus button. And I can do media, of course. I can do shapes. Let's say we're going to do some stars. So there we go, some red stars. So I'm going to do this. Oopsie. Undo. That's why we have undo buttons. And if I want to, I can tap that again. I say copy, and then I can tap the screen again and say paste. Saves me a lot of time doing this. I'm going to copy that star and paste it right here. And then if I want to, of course, fix the formatting on this, I can hold my finger over, And right here I have the keyboard. As you can see, I actually can increase the font sizes between these two options. So I can make it bigger by holding it like this. Typing it. I can, of course, underline them or indent it. Make sure you have it selected, though, otherwise it won't work, as you just saw. So, and also you can see if I want to, I can actually highlight this if I want to. And it will actually say, well, what type in a name to use in the comments tracking. I'm not going to do that. But you can actually add comments to this as well. But as you can see, I highlighted that. I'm going to underline that. And if I want to, I actually can change the spacing on this. If I want to centerize it, I hit this button and just say center. Oops, that was my fault. But it's good because we're learning here how this works. And if I want to add to it, I actually can add a comment or actually link this. So let's say I email this out. I actually can send a link and embed it here in the file. So then that way, you can click on it and do the evite. I'm going to get off that, though, right now. So right now, and also as you can see, there's a word count here. I'm going to use my 2 fingers. I'm going to scroll up and down here, see how this looks, which looks very nice. So if I want to do anything else here, like if I want to add another text box, I hit the plus button, I select text, and it will do there. But as you can see, it's right now overshadowing this because it's on top. So to fix that, I'm just going to hit delete. I'm going to scroll down. And also if you want to, since I'm on this option, actually, if you click on your item here, you actually can lock these. So I can actually go over, hit the wrench, hit the paintbrush, and I can hit the lock button. So that way, no matter what I do, I won't affect these anymore. See, I'm taking my finger, as I was doing earlier, I was messing up the size and everything because I was going over it, but now, because I've done that, hit the paintbrush, I've locked everything in place. So now I can't mess these up anymore. And now, I can add my text box again, and I can move that. I'm going to keep it away from that so it doesn't mess in here. I'm going to double tap on this. Star. Event. I'm going to select that. I'm going to increase the size over here. I'm going to italicize that. I'm going to centerize that. And then I'm going to change the color here by going to the paintbrush. And like I said, very similar to what I did earlier, I'm just going to go to Style. I'm going to click on this. I'm going to make this bigger. I'm going to get rid of the black. And then I'm going to go find my orange. And I'm going to type off. And then once that's all finished, I'm going to tap on this. And I'm going to move this. This is very similar to Keynote. That's why I went over Keynote first. All the options are completely the same. And then if you want to, of course, share this, of course, you go right up to the share button right up here. Click on that. And, of course, you can send a copy or open it into another app or send it in iCloud. But all you do is once you do this, I'll say send a copy. Let's say I'm going to send this to Mr. Goodrich as a little invite here. I'm going to hit mail. It's going to ask you now to do 4 different ways: Pages, PDF, Word, and Epub. Pages, like I said, only works between devices that have this program on it. Word, of course, works with any program that has Word on it. PDF, a thing. Epub is if you're going to have this like an iBooks. Let's say you made like a little mini book here in Pages and you want to send it to your reader so they can open it on iBooks. Then you do it as an Epub file. That means it will be able to be read on any iBooks program or iTunes use. So that's what that is. But I'm going to send this to Word because I know Mr. Goodrich does not have Pages on his iPad or his computer, so I'm going to hit Word. It's going to compress this lovely invite. And there it is. And as you see, it's called Photo Card Vertical. I can change that to Party Invite. And then, of course, I just address it here. And then I send it off. There's not much really difference between Pages and Keynote outside presentations. Almost all the features such as text boxes, style, and embedding links are all pretty much the same here. It just depends on what template. So if you're typing up a regular paper, you can pick a blank document and type that out like you would a regular one. If you find a template you like, you can open it up here and then, of course, just edit it the way you are. And then once you're all finished, of course, just go right here and hit the Documents button. and it will save it ready to go. And as you can see, I have several here. And that will do it for pages. The final iWorks one I'm going to go over now is Numbers. Number is the spreadsheet, actually, of iPads. So I'm going to click on Numbers. And much like any other one, of course, as you can see here, I have a monthly budget sheet I have open, but I'm going to go to Spreadsheets right now and close that up and go to a fresh new document. Like before, you can create them right here or hit the plus button here. And of course, you can do that from making them from scratch, copying from iTunes or WebDAV. So, of course, I'm going to create a new spreadsheet. Now, as you can see, just like with anything else right here, you have templates to make and go from blanks to checklists all the way down to education. I mean, there's a lot of templates here. It used to be this was not at all a lot of templates here outside the basics, but you can do a lot here now. I mean, you can make your own education attendance sheet and gradebook, which I highly recommend. This makes it pretty portable. But we're actually going to show all the features, so I'm just going to go to a straight blank document today. So I'm going to hit blank. And there we go. Now, first of all, as you can see, this says Sheet 1. As we all know in spreadsheets, you can make several different sheets. To do that, of course, you hit the plus button over here. If I hit that, it will make a second sheet for me to adjust. If I want to check the columns, I have two ways to do this. I have a centerize here, which of course allows me to move it around. If I want to make more keys, I go right here, and I take my finger and I slide it down. It makes more columns. If I want less, I go the opposite direction. And the same thing works for up here too. If I take my finger, I can slide that back and make less ones. If I want to increase the size, as you can see, I have 3 dots here. If I take my finger, I can actually widen this and readjust my cells. To, of course, insert in these cells, of course, I tap on it. It will ask me if I want to paste something, but instead I'm going to double tap on it. And this is what it brings up. It brings up the regular keyboard. So if you want to do, in this case, title your columns, and I'm going to call this column 1. And then, of course, I can centerize this if I want to. Actually, I'm sorry, that was not the right option. As you can see, you can auto-correct these if you misspell column. I can make this column 2. And so forth and so forth. Now, when I want to type in, let's say, a number here, I click on here, double tap, and now I have my calculator here. So I can do this one of 2 ways. I can add this as money. So let's say column 2 is about my money here, and I got $750 right now in the bank. I hit next up there, and this goes over my next one, and I gotta say, well, I have now $20.50. In the bank, next, and I'll just say I have nothing in the bank there. And I can make a new one if I want to. If I have a problem, though, of course, I can just hit the back button here. And, of course, I can shrink that away and get rid of it. So I'm going to go back up to column 1 here. Now, let's say this is my percentage. So I'm going to double tap here. I'm going to pop over here to my numbers. And I'm going to put in 50%. Next. Oh, that's the wrong one. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to hit this next button. That's going to take me to the corresponding column below me. So now, of course, I can actually type these out for the rest of my numbers. So let's say this is 40%. Next there. And let's say these are my stars about my pluses. So I'm just going to hit the stars there, and it's going to make some dots. Other one. And I'm just going to say this is a check mark for false or true, depending on what I want. There's a couple of features here on numbers, which if you're familiar with spreadsheets, you shouldn't have a problem. If others, you can just mess around with them. It depends on what you'd like to do. So I definitely give the options there. If you want to, of course, delete one, you double tap right here, and you actually can either merge or paste. So I'm going to hit merge here, and that's going to merge those lines together. So now these are all one line for blank. Double tap this, and if I want to, I can actually add a time of the month here. So let's say this was 40% for the month of April. So then April will go in here. And let's say for this is a duration of time. So I'm going to just say this was over 10 weeks. I'm sorry, not 10 weeks. That's not good math. 3 weeks. Next, and hit done. There's a couple options here. Like I said, it depends on how you want to do your spreadsheets and all that. And if you want to, let's say I want to hit this whole column. I'm going to select this. As you can see now, I can actually move these. As you can see, there's a little arrow here. So let's say I want to make this line go to this line. I take my finger, hold it there, and I can make it bigger or smaller. Or I can move it up or down by holding down to it and readjust them. Pretty nifty, huh? Or if I want to do it again, I can actually hide it. Oops, where'd she go? Don't need it, but I can undo it right here on the top and make it come back. Or if I want to chart this, like with a pie chart or bar graph, I can double tap on it and say create chart. Ooh, let's try this one. I love interactive graphs. So I'm going to pick this one for a 3D interactive. And it will make the chart for that line right there. So it's actually done all of that. And if you want to, you actually can do multiple select here. So let's say I want to do all of these. And then, of course, I want to create a chart based on these figures, and I want to make it as a line graph. And there it is. Now, these correspond with the different charts. And, of course, just like other ones, I can rotate these if I want to. And, of course, if I want to adjust these at any time, I can hit the formatted paintbrush and change the x-axis, the y-axis, or how the arrangement goes, or lock it down. Or I can hit the print brush in here, and I can print it out, adjust my settings, or set a password if I want to actually email these out, but I don't want anybody to adjust it without a password. I can do that. And, of course, the help button's right here. And once I'm all finished, I can hit the share button, send a copy, and I'm going to email this out. Let's say I'm going to head this to Mr. Hoekstra since he's our business one. As you can see here, it does a completely different spreadsheet as well. There's numbers, and he has it on his iPad, so I do numbers, or I can send it to an Excel program, PDF, or if you want to, you can do CSV. CSV, if you want to know, is a Cascade system file that is used for emails and important contacts. If you want to send this to somebody who wants to import, like, say, a set of emails to their phone or their device, you send it as a CSV, and when it happens, then it will open it up. And I'm going to do an example. I'm going to do it as a CSV. It's going to compress it. And there it is. It's now in a zip file ready to be opened on whatever device wants to put this in. But like I said, if I just want to send this to Mr. Hoekstra, and I want to do it as a number sheet, I'm going to do numbers, and it will put it as a zip. Keep in mind, it's doing a zip because this is a large file. I have 2 interactive slides as well as 3 charts in here, so henceforth, it's a big file, so it's going to send as a zip. There's nothing to worry about because whatever device this gets sent to will unzip it automatically and then open the program. There are a lot of advanced features on numbers and everything else. It would take me too long to go over all of them. So my advice is to just do the basics, create your spreadsheets, and then just have some fun with it. And once, of course, you're finished, hit spreadsheets, and they're saved. And also, I did not go over this with Keynote or Pages, but if you actually want to multi-select files to either send or get rid of, go ahead and hit the edit button. I can select up to 2, and then I can delete them. Or, if I want to, I can make copies, which was what that other button is. So there we are, all ready to go. If you have any questions about how to work any of the iWorks, please check me out at rread@clschools.org, or please check on Taking Your Classroom to the Next Level to check out some more of my tutorials. And with that, everybody, I will see everyone later.